Hey folks, welcome. So we are going to talk about AsapCard and how we are going to innovate and be the next generation card processing company. So, we have an agenda here to describe a little bit about what we are thinking for the future of card processing and what's our mission on this field, and especially how we keep PCI compliance, PCI DSS compliance along all the resources and everything that we are deploying. And you might be asking why it's so important to have a next generation card processing company since we have for many years companies allowed to do this kind of service, and what's the key difference for that. So that's what we are going to discuss in the next minutes. So who we are. AsapCard is a Brazilian company, and we are a fintech company, a startup focusing on financial services and banking services. And we want to provide new technology and new features for bank acquirers, bank issuers, card issuers, and PSPs. And you might be asking what is different from what we see in the market, and that's the next point. So basically, we deployed everything that we have, especially our key components, which I'm calling here the connector and the authorizer, in the cloud. So we are fully deployed in the cloud. We don't have hardware. We don't have hardware security modules. We don't have MIPS. So everything is being deployed in the cloud. And our goal is to provide more services and also to help our customers to have better services, lower the operational costs, and of course, mitigate risks, have real-time data according to the purchase that they have or all the transactions that they have. We know that there are several challenges to deal with, disputes and non-recognized transactions in the credit card market, especially in Brazil. So this is something that we need to build differently and be real-time. So talking about cloud, you might see these lines and ask why we are choosing this as our mission. So we have been in the financial services and banking services for many years, and we know how much we struggle to deal with some special dates and events like Christmas, Valentine's, Mother's Day. So we have a huge amount of transactions from these periods of time, and we need to, of course, provision resources from the card processing, meaning that we need to buy more servers, buy more processors, buy more resources only for those specific dates. And that's why we decided to have this as our mission, to decommission old monolithic stuff, mainframe-based processing, and adopt a modern architecture. Have a clean architecture, clean code, microservices, and event-driven systems and microservices. Another key point of our mission is to be fully deployed in the cloud. So that's why we choose also to partner with AWS, which since the beginning, we were able to deploy the foundation for the security. And as we are going to see, still being compliant with PCI DSS. I think that PCI requirements are well known. I just want to detach here some of the key features that or the key requirements that we expect to be compliant for PCI. So, of course, ensure that we have a safe and robust network that we can defend against unauthorized access, protect the cardholder data, which is key for all this card processing. And we are not talking only about the data that is stored in our environment, but also which is transmitting through the networks. And we need to make sure that we encrypt all the cardholder data across the network, the systems, the microservices, applications, and that we are applying the need-to-know basis or the least privileged access for all of this data. Other key requirements for PCI compliance is to identify and authorize all the access to all the components and all the services that we have. Make sure that we are preventing all the sort of physical access to the resources or resources that can disclose cardholder data. Monitor all the resources that we have. So we must be able to detect any kind of incident, anomaly that we might have in our environment, and regularly test the environment, application, and infrastructure. So these are the key pieces for PCI DSS compliance, and we are already certified, and not only for PCI DSS, but also for PCI PIM. And I told you this whole story just to tell you that what we are pursuing for this modernization and what we call the next generation for card processing is to provide flexibility for our customers. So we want to reduce the time to bring more features, to deploy new services, and to ease the process for integration for new entrants. So since we started the company, we never heard about a company that migrated from one card processing to another. So this is one of the main things that we want to do, that we want to achieve. Make this process to migrate from one card processing to another and not harm the environment, not harm the business. Okay. And another key feature that we expect for our platform, and it's part of our features and what we provide to our customers, is the real-time control. Meaning that we are not going to rely on files, on batching processing, or any other feature that we need to wait for the next day to provide confirmation, authorization confirmation, or some sort of transaction challenging for our customers. So we need to work with real-time processing and forget everything that we had in the past for batching processing. Well, we are going to see a few examples from our architecture. So basically, it's not really what we deployed, but it's a concept about what we have for our architecture. And we are leveraging all the services from AWS Control Tower and AWS organizations to be the foundation for our accounts. So, of course, we have many accounts to deal with these services. We have, as we can see in this drawing, we have the management account where the AWS Control Tower and AWS organizations are deployed. Okay, so in this step one, we established what we expect in terms of controls. Then we have the organizational units that we deployed for the accounts. And we are going to talk a little bit further about the organizational units, but basically we are taking care of the security OU, or the workloads, infrastructure, deployments, and each of them will be their policies and resources applied. And as we can see in the big square on the right, the number 3, we have the policies that were applied for the OUs and the resources that we have within. So, and how this helped for all this account management and PCI DSS compliance. So, as you can see, we have major components that we can see just on the top for AWS organizations, and we have services that we deployed across all the accounts. Okay, so these are the services that we understand they can be shared or they can be centralized and will not harm or disclose information from the PCI environment itself. And in the bottom, we can see that we have key services that are specific for PCI DSS. So this data we cannot mix and we must to keep segregated. We are not going to centralize or have an operator or any other SOC member having access for all this information. So this must be separated, and we need to guarantee the confidentiality for this data that we have in our environment. So talk a little bit further about what we are applying of resources in our environment. We have the AWS Private Link, which in our case is the key component for connecting for the major card brands and card providers. So that's the resource that we use to establish a secure and reliable channel with these card providers. We also make use of elastic load balancing and AWS WAF to filter all the requests and strengthen what we have in terms of applications and APIs and other services that are available for our customers. The AWS Secrets Manager is being applied for our Amazon EKS. So using this resource, we can protect all the sensitive credentials for this EKS and also use AWS Lambda to rotate all these credentials, making sure that nobody can steal or reuse these credentials in the case of a leakage. And finally, we are leveraging the AWS Cloud HSM as a vault for all of our encrypted data and all of the keys that we have in our environment. And the AWS Payment Cryptography, which is being applied for all the payment processing. So everything that we need to do with encryption, verification of keys, and etc. for the card brands, we are doing with the payment cryptography. Here we have an example about what we are doing for our environment to basically have a segregation and protection from our resources and how they communicate with the AWS payment cryptography. So as you can see, we have these VPC resources that is split in a private subnet with the key components that we are applying to deal with all the requests and information that we have from our customers. And we have a secure endpoint to make requests to the payment cryptography. So this architecture is only an example. It's not really what we deployed, but it's only to make sure that you guys can see how we deploy this and how we are segregating our services. And to understand also how the payment cryptography works. So we really don't have access straightforward to the HSM. We are bridging all the connections through the AWS payment cryptography. So we have this layer of security and layer of encryption to have access to all the encrypted data in the cloud HSM. And the HSM works as a big database of encrypted data and keys that we keep to be used for our transactions. Of course, in this example, we have also all the monitoring and log services that will support the monitoring and all the control of the events, everything that's happening on this VPC. Okay, so we can promptly take action if something is happening or an anomaly is detected in our environment. Here in ASAP, we have a dedicated team that is taking care of all the continuous monitoring and ensure that we have everything in place, no data is being leaked, we don't have a security threat, and to be capable to do that, we are leveraging these services from AWS. So we have AWS CloudTrail, which will track all the activity from our users, from APIs, and from the resources that we have deployed. AWS Amazon CloudWatch, where we can have all the monitoring and all the events, centralize the logs for analysis. We have the AWS WAF and AWS Shield Advanced, which will play the role to make sure that we are filtering and taking care of all the requests and also protect against distributed denial of service. And of course, as I said in the beginning, AWS was a key partner for us to take care of all the PCI compliance. And we leverage a lot of their services and certifications to stay PCI compliant. So, of course, we had our certification a year ago. We are going to renew our certification, so it's not a one-shot work. You know, you need to keep working and keep progressing, keeping the environment safe and all the controls in place. And of course, having a partner like AWS, which already has the PCI DSS Level 1 compliance, SOC 1, SOC 2, and SOC 3 makes life much easier to deploy and to be compliant with the requirements from PCI DSS. And as we can see here, in the right, we have a big picture about how we are organizing our monitoring and our security services. So we basically centralize everything that we have in the AWS Security Hub. We are leveraging Amazon GuardDuty, Amazon Macie, Amazon Inspector, and Amazon Detective for the whole environment. So then we can centralize everything that we have in terms of security and monitoring, and we can take action based on our security posture. So guys, thank you very much. Thank you for coming by.